Hello and welcome, viewers. Thank you for joining us on Sanctify Soul YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like, share, and follow. We are excited to have you here and hope you enjoy this holiness message. Sit back, relax, and prepare to be sanctified with the words of God. My name is Jonas Lukuntu Impala. My testimony when I was an ex-Satanist member. This testimony is the 12th part in a series of 13. Another day, the mother of my daughter gave me the address of a prophet near Likasi, and I went there. As soon as I got there, I knocked at the door. The prophet was in the living room with his wife. When I came in, I greeted them. He asked me the reason for my visit, and I told him. I explained to him that I was a Satanist and that I was looking for deliverance. While I wanted to continue, he said to me, "Shut up, kneel down. While you were on the way, God told me that there is a man, a Satanist, who is coming to me and that I should pray for his deliverance." Beloved, why lying in the name of Jesus? If God has not given you any message, keep quiet. Woe to the man who wags his own tongues and yet declares, "The Lord declares." Then he told me, "Get down on your knees." And since I was the one in need, I was obliged to obey. I knelt down. He laid his hands on my head and began to pray. As soon as he laid his hands on my head, he was hurled and went to bang into the wall. As soon as he got up, he took his wife by the hand, and both of them ran away and left me alone in the house. When I opened the door, they were already in the garden. As soon as they saw me, they left the garden and went on the road. The neighbors also came. There were many people. So as I was moving forward, the prophet and his wife left even the road to go to another house on the other side. He who wagged his own tongues and yet declared, "The Lord had declared." There are people who believe that God acts only through prophecy. No, know that there are made-up prophecies. True prophets exist, but they are only a few of them. But those who are in a large number are false prophets. Because even I was a prophet. I spoke in tongues. I prophesied. That is sad. So I went out of there and went back home. Demons were already waiting for me at home. Once again, they seriously beat me up. I stayed at home. 2 days later, another brother came to see me and gave me the address of another prophet. I went there, and when I got there, I knocked at the door. He was inside and he told me, "Do not come in. Start by taking your shoes off, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Take off your shoes, quick." I took off my shoes and I entered. I entered the holy ground. There was a mat, and the prophet said to me, "Sit there." And I sat on the mat in that so-called holy ground. The prophet began to pray. He prayed in tongues, and while he was praying, he was invoking demons. Since I was a Satanist, I was already familiarized with demons. When someone invoked demons, it was not difficult for me to know it. He was invoking demons, and I realized that he was a very low-level Satanist compared with me. So I got up and said to him, "How dare you do that to me?" I made a gesture and left. 2 days later, the prophet died. I kept on searching, and after that, I was given the address of another church in town. I went there. The church and the pastor's house was in the same fence. I entered the church. I spoke with the pastor. Women intercessors were there. The pastor said, "Today you will be delivered." When he told me that, I was happy. But a few minutes later, I heard sounds like the neighing of a horse. When I heard that sound, I was uncomfortable because it was a demon named Caravanda, who is the secretary of the Dragon of the Sea. Then he came down to the church with its whip. I was there, standing, doing nothing, but I was watching the pastor and the women intercessors. Caravanda was whipping them seriously. They did not see who was whipping them, and they ran away. I was left alone in the church. The pastor went home, took hot water in a saucepan, and returned to the church. He came in, and as soon as I tried to move, he poured that hot water on me and rushed out. I was left alone, all wet, and I left the church. So when I was leaving, he told me, "Brother, stop right there." I stopped. He came and told me, "Brother, God just told me that. For your deliverance, one should make a selection. One should make a coalition of 10 pastors. One pastor alone cannot pray for you. Beloved, it is absolute madness. When you fear God, you can be alone against 100 or 1,000 Satanists. They cannot do anything to you because those who are with you are more than those who are with them. Alone you can destroy an entire battalion of demons if you are with Jesus, if you have the fear of God, if you lead a life of sanctification. After that, I was led again to another church. I went there and they began to pray for me. There were 6 of them. 4 rushed to lay their hands on my head and they were hurled to the ground. So when they were hurled to the ground, the 2 who remained standing abandoned me to take care of those who were on the ground. Then I left the church and went home. After that, I went to another church on Foyer Social Avenue. I entered through the main door. The demons came down and started hitting people, and those people rushed out through the side door. And after that incident, I left. Once again, I went to another church. As soon as I entered, demons began to strike people, and they ran away. I left that church and went to the next church on the same street. The result was the same. I went to a third church on the same street. The result was the same. Finally, I entered 23 churches, and in all those 23 churches, I did not find the solution to my problem. When I was going to churches, I was going there with good intention. I was not going there so that demons would hit people. I was telling the truth. In the end, when I was going to churches, they would see me from afar and send people to tell me, "Brother, the pastor asks you not to come to our church. You will frighten people away." I was no longer wanted in churches. Yet the devil would kill me if I did not give him 2 people in my family. So I decided to go to my family and tell them the truth, hoping that they can remedy my problem. Then one morning, I took my courage. I went to my family. My father was there. My brothers and sisters were there, except for my mother, who was in Zambia. So when I was in the living room with the whole family, I said, "You all know that I am a Satanist." My father told me, yes, I know, and your father is the devil. Speak quickly, we have other things to do." And I said, "You know that I am a Satanist, and as I am speaking to you now, I was asked to kill 2 people among you who are here." I told the truth. I took the risk of telling the truth. My father screwed up all his courage and said, "As you can see, my house is not a hen house. It is not a butcher shop where you should take what you want for your father, the devil. Leave my house and know that from today you are no longer my son, and these people whom you see here are no longer your brothers and sisters." Churches did not want me anymore. My family rejected me. All the friends that I had abandoned me. All those friends for whom I was buying beer were no longer there, and I was left alone, and I was suffering. I did not know where to go. I was sleeping at the market under the stalls. I, who had served the devil for 25 years, I, who was asked by the devil to call him Dad, was abandoned. My dad, Satan, had abandoned me. Beloved, in times of distress, ask for the help of God. The help of man is worthless. I was sad, and I was taking all the necessary drugs to try to have peace, but it was unsuccessful. Finally, I found a house on Chaba Avenue, and I settled there. One night I was sleeping. Around 4 o'clock in the morning, I heard a noise. People were shouting, and when I went out, it was a case of theft. One told me that the thief went to the right, and together with those who were there, we started to chase the thief, and since we did not find him, we returned. When we came back, people who were there said we have not seen the thief. Then a girl from the family that was a victim of theft said, "Why do you say that you did not find the thief? The thief is there." And I was the one she designated as the thief. I said, "I a thief? But what have I done?" All that was from the devil. There were spirits that were incarnated in this girl to annoy me so that I request the intervention of the devil. So when she said that, for me, it was a humiliation. I said to myself, "I a thief?" So I concentrated and I made an invocation. I was told, "If you want this problem to be solved, first give the 2 people you were asked." I said, "Okay, I will give them." So when I said, "Okay, I will give them," I was automatically told, "Go to the police station. One will give you 2 policemen." I went there. I had not lodged a complaint. I arrived there. The investigation police officer saw me, and he said, "Are you the one?" Directly, he called 2 policemen. He said, "Go with this man." And we left. When we got there, they arrested the people who had accused me. They arrested 3 people and placed them in the cell. The head of that family was a pastor. I went back home. I took my black notebook. I took 2 names of the members of my immediate family. I only had to cross off their names, and death would follow some days later. It was February 2nd, 2003. I went to the police station to see the investigation police officer. As soon as I arrived there, he told me that the pastor was released. So I said, "Why has he been released?" He told me that there are pastors who came to plead for him. So I told him, "Do you accept that?" Then I concentrated. I started to manipulate him and to communicate with him via telepathy. I started to transmit my thoughts in his mind through the spirits. He immediately began to write something on a paper and took the files and transferred them to the public prosecutor's department. And that is how one took that dad from his house and led him to the public prosecutor's department. On February 3rd, I had to go to the public prosecutor's department, and when I arrived there, this dad was there. He was trembling and was begging me, and I looked at him. I said, to forgive this man, while it is because of him and his family that I had decided to kill 2 members of my family. He should also die. And while I was there, I was waiting for the magistrate, and not long after, the magistrate arrived. It was the magistrate Kasongo of Likasi. He came, called me into his office. He heard me, and after that, he told me, "You are right, this man is going to pay." And then I was happy. And when I went out, there was a dad who was passing by. It was the paternal uncle of the mother of my daughter. When he saw me, he told me, "This pastor is a great dad. He has a good testimony. When we were very young, he was the one who made us grow, so I'm begging you, just withdraw your complaint. You should know how to get along with people." Because of the good things that Dad was doing, there was a man who came to speak on his behalf, and when that man was speaking to me, I do not know what prompted me. I said, "Okay." I went to the office of the magistrate and told him, "I withdraw my complaint. Please release this dad." Then he said to me, "Even if you withdraw your complaint, as a magistrate, I should receive from him the fine of the state." I told him, "That is the problem between you and him. As for me, the matter is closed." And that was how I ended with that case. But within me, I knew that 2 members of my family would die. It was February 3rd. I left the public prosecutor's department. I went to the city center. And while I was moving forward, I had a package that contained a small bottle. In that small bottle, there was a mixture of human blood and the perfume Ausarabia, a book on which was written the words "The Greatest Secrets of Lucifer," a crucifix and a handkerchief that I received when I joined the sect Prima Curia within the Indian magic. It was in that sect that President Mobutu and I met. Our country Congo, when it was still Zaire, was sold by Mobutu to the devil. Know that our country can get out of suffering only by prayer and prayer alone. People thought that with the elections, there would be institutions that will be established and that peace would come back in the country. We see what is happening. It is even worse. Our country can get out of this chaos only by prayer. Thus, the church has the mission to pray for the country. There are many things that I know concerning the sale of our country in 2 places: the source of the Congo River and at the mouth of the river, from a mystic lodge which has 8 dragons, which is located at Gabadalite, the temple of Kawele. All those people of Mobutu who worked in the transitional government, it was just a distraction. Those people were friends. All of them were agents of Satan who work for the same master with the same objective to plunge people into suffering. While I was passing by, I saw a church where one was talking about witchcraft. So when I heard that, I said to myself, but these people with their churches, they always talk about witchcraft, Satanism. But if a Satanist or a sorcerer comes to them for deliverance, they will do nothing. So I will go in there, I will call demons. They will strike these people so that they no longer talk about witchcraft. I entered, I was sitting somewhere, and the Christians were praying. It was the morning intercession. The one who was leading the prayer said, "All of you who are seated, leave your seats and come forward." There was an empty space. I also left my package and went forward with true Christians. Once there, I knelt down like any other person. One gave a prayer topic and people were praying with their eyes closed. I was also there with my eyes closed. While others were praying, I was invoking demons. Usually, every time when I was invoking demons, when the demons were on the way, I could look at my hand and see a shadow appearing. So that day, I was on my knees and I started to invoke demons. I invoked them, but to no avail, because when I was looking at my hand, nothing appeared. And while I was still on my knees, I felt a little heat at the roof, and this little heat was coming down gradually, and when it was coming down, it was increasing in intensity, and as its intensity was increasing, the heat was becoming fire. And when the fire touched my head, it was terrible, my beloved. As Satanists, I could get before a brazier full of embers, put my hand in, take some embers, and close my hand again, and when I opened my hand again, the embers were put out, and there was only coal which remained. But that day, the fire that came upon me was not the brazier fire. It was a fire that I had never felt before, and when it came upon me, it was not only confined to my head, it spread all over my body. Even my feet were affected. And then my body started to burn inside me. It was terrible. I infiltrated the Church of Jesus with a bad intention. You sorcerer, know that God sees you every time you come to the church to make your incantations. He is not afraid of you. It is because of the love he has for you that he continues to demonstrate his patience towards you by leaving you time to repent. But if you persist in what you are doing, know that when God will have enough of your wickedness, he will send his fire on you, and you will know that God is God, and that his power is far above all other powers. That day, you will know that one cannot attack the living God and escape because his power is unrivaled. That day, the fire came upon me, and I was thinking how to get up and run away. I was on my knees and was making efforts to get up. If you kneel down and one asks you to stand up, how long does it take you? Perhaps less than a minute, isn't it? But that day, I wanted to get up and run away, but my knees were pinned to the ground, and while I was making all my efforts, the people who were praying opened their eyes and saw me. It was at that point that the prayer ended. Everyone directed his prayer towards me, and the whole church began to send fire on me. Everyone was sending fire on me, and it was terrible. I spent 10 minutes on my knees. You, agent of Satan, who received this testimony, I seize this opportunity to tell you that, whoever you are, whatever the ladder you have already climbed with your master Satan, your knees should bow before Jesus. And after the 10 minutes, I concentrated. Since there was an excessive heat, I invoked my master, the one of Kisangani, and he did not answer. I invoked the priest who had initiated me into the Catholic magic, but there was no response. So I said to myself, since all these people do not want to answer me, I will now invoke the greatest master, and then I invoked Lucifer. Even Lucifer that day did not answer. The devil has no power over the Church of Jesus. And in the end, I fell down. I lost consciousness. I was brought out. When I was outside, passers-by were called to come and see the Satanist who had fallen. That day, I was completely humiliated because it was in the city center. When I got some fresh air, the communication with Lucifer was restored. And he told me, go back into the church and kill 2 people. While I was being burned, he was not there, but he told me to go in again. Satan is not serious. Beloved, that is the great difference with Jesus. When you go on a mission with the devil or the demons, if you get there and things start to become complicated, demons and the devil will run away. But if you go with Jesus and things become complicated, Jesus says to you, stand behind me, and I myself will fight in your place. That is the big difference with Jesus. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos.